It's Rebecca again. So originally I was really excited to be able to do today, Autism Awareness Day. Um, it's it's a day that has a lot of meaning for me because of me being on the spectrum and celebrating it every single year in one way or another. The usual way that I do celebrate Autism Awareness Month is by wearing blue jeans every single day in one way or another. So whether I am wearing jeans as pants or a jean jacket, it counts. It's what I've been doing since high school, and I am not letting that go by a long shot. But today was kind of a really difficult day for me. So a little bit of background real quick for those who don't know. I'm currently working at the front desk of a hotel. I'm not going to say what brand or which hotel it is that I am working at. It's been good work. I have the aptitude to be able to work in hospitality. I have the family members who have taught me to be polite and to be courteous and so on. And I also have my Catholic background, and I have my natural disposition that autism does kind of give me a little bit to be able to carry myself in an honest, problem-solving, helpful way. So today at work, because I was working the morning shift, which is not my usual shift, but they asked me to cover for today. I had a lovely kickstart to the day with being only an hour in and the fire alarm going off. It was just some smoke in the toaster in the breakfast area, so no harm, no foul, just lots of people being really annoyed by an alarm waking them up. Not much that we could really do about that for that circumstance. I, of course, explained it to the guests who came up, and they asked what was going on, and they were understandable about it. This is something that I'm sure has happened to them before. Somebody left something too long in the microwave or in the toaster or in the oven and it started smoking, and it's like, yeah, what am I supposed to do? So all of that aside, so a couple hours later, this is all before noon, before I would eventually have a moment to have some lunch while things are really slowed down during our period where housekeeping is turning the rooms for the arrivals of the day. I had a guest who I will refer to as them. In this case, they and them. Ignore the motorcycles in the background, please. This guest had come up to the front to be able to check out. They were understandably upset because of the fire alarm, but that wasn't the only reason. They were also upset because last night there was a lot of noise from kids that were running around in the hallways, yelling and screaming and disturbing guests after 10 o'clock at night. Now, most hotels, they would usually have a standard of having all kids preferably be in their rooms by 10, so that way it means that they will be settling down to get ready for bed, appropriately so. And also, it does not disturb the guests who really need to actually try and sleep because they have to get up early in the morning, whether it is to travel by car or plane, or for them to be well rested for whatever long day lies ahead of them. It's just common sense. Unfortunately, our hotel did not really have that in place for this group of kids that was staying with us. It's tournament season at this time, so any parents or kids who are watching this, you know exactly what it is I'm talking about. Softball, baseball, soccer, field hockey, cheerleading, you name it. It's right now. This is that season. Um, so, but this guest was hugely irate because of what had happened, and she, I I was trying to come up with solutions for them, of what to do. Now, the problem with their reservation was that it was a prepaid third party, so there wasn't as much as we could do. So I consulted one of my managers, um, who was helping me out with a different issue. They were not on site with me. I was the only person on site. Let me make that part very clear. I was the only person on site in person. My manager told me what it was that we could do. We had two options. One, sign him up for a rewards program, give him a chunk of points, which would contribute to future rewards. And it was a pretty decent chunk, quite honestly. Or the other option would be to call up the third party and ask them to take off some from the reservation, which, as I had looked at the actual rate and tax that was for this reservation, it would essentially cover for what the taxes were in the end. I called up the guest in their room, informed them of the options. They were understandably even more upset because either we weren't really giving them the kind of compensation that they were looking for this reservation to be able to pay them back, because it would have to be done through the third party, or, as they had put it, we were soliciting by basically asking them to join our program. So they adamantly requested to talk with my manager, in which at that point, for any autistic who is watching this, or anyone who has worked in customer service, this is the part in which you know that you are exceptionally overwhelmed and panicking a bit about what to do. So you kind of just do whatever is the most passive thing to do, and you just pray for forgiveness at that point. So I gave them my manager's number, and I informed my manager of the situation, that this guest would be calling them to tell my manager to alert the third party of this situation. I went into the back, and probably for the first time in a long time in a workspace, I broke down. The good news is that it wasn't super busy by that point, so I didn't have to necessarily deal with a lot of guests. But as you can see, as I'm remembering it, yeah. I haven't been this overwhelmed, this visually, emotionally, in tears, breaking down, overwhelmed for a few months in a workspace, or because of work. The last time I was like this, it was after I decided to stop being a substitute teacher. And that decision was before Christmas break. I was on an assignment for 2 months as a 7th grade ELA teacher for a school that was looking for someone who could be more permanent, but they needed somebody to be able to fill in the time while they looked for said candidate. It was really difficult as things were getting closer and closer to the end. And the main reason for it is because I have no training whatsoever as a teacher. I was trained as a social worker. So in terms of what my capacity was for what I could actually do, I was not at all fully prepared to take on anything that had to do with teaching. So, as the end of my assignment with that school was coming closer to an end, I was becoming a bit more distraught, and unfortunately, I did start to become more emotional around the students. It was getting bad, and teachers, faculty, staff of any school who is watching this, you know exactly what it is that I am talking about. To be that kind of overwhelmed. So I had to walk away from doing that kind of work because I couldn't do it anymore. And being able to do the hotel work has been able to make sure that I stay fresh, to not be overwhelmed with needing to work at home after the school hours, to be able to create lesson plans that I had no control over in a way that I would probably want to do lessons. I mean, I love ELA, but I can't do ELA in the way that I want to because this school was using Common Core, which is, pardon the phrasing, a heavily prescribed regiment. It is so strict. And quite honestly, it does nothing for these students. It does absolutely nothing. These students have to read books that should be able to relate to them. And probably for some of them, if it's in the hands of the right teachers, it works. But there are lots of students who become disinterested in certain books. And while I was disinterested in books, believe me, I was at that age, I was able to find more pleasure in being able to do the actual writing. But they were going back and forth between writing and reading over the course of that entire unit, and it made absolutely no sense. If you're going to do it, you do a whole bunch of reading, and then you make your way to bridging to that writing. You don't go back and forth like a ping pong ball over it. Just no. So I couldn't really go back into doing any kind of teaching. I can't really picture myself doing it. It is the other reason why I want to be able to go into education policy. That's what I actually really want to be doing eventually. But anyway, so the hotel work was supposed to be a great way for me to be able to refresh. I was still not working as many shifts in the week. I could properly make sure I could take some time for myself. And then I went through the blah months this past January and February, and it was very stop and go in March. So I was hoping that by the time that it's end of March, after I got to see some family, and I was going to start April, I was like, okay, we are starting fresh. I am going to get myself back on track and make sure that I am properly taking care of myself while balancing my work life and my personal life properly, to get that on track so that way I can get ready to apply to college, to be able to apply for a master's program so that way I can go into education policy in the future like I want to. Today did not really help with that expectation. It is hard being customer service as an autistic person. It's really hard. Especially in a time like now when everybody's emotions are running on gasoline. And it's just like, it's this continuously burning fire, if you will. Which is actually ironic because gasoline is quite expensive. It's like common sense doesn't really exist anymore in the customer service world. I understand if people are stressed and emotionally way out there over whatever is going on in their lives. I get that. But if you take that out on someone who is already dealing with stranger after stranger after stranger after stranger, just having all of that negativity, it's going to come back to bite you later in some way or another, because it may not even be that person. It could be somebody else entirely. And that negativity just, it grows like a big, black, messy glob of crap. Or, well, I hate to put it like this, like a tumor. It just grows worse if you're not careful. At the very least, if you are in such a mood, please apologize and just say that today's just a really crappy day and I'm just not up for anything right now. We'll get that. Believe me, we will get that. We do. We're all human. We get it. We can't handle stress. We just can't. We can't handle all this bad stress. We hate it. So please do actually say, I apologize if you do have an attitude or you take it out on the person who's behind the register or behind the counter. My mind is all over the place. My mind goes a million miles an hour to process whatever is running around in its head until it comes to a final conclusion. That's the way that my brain works. It just does. It's basically like a whole bunch of assembly lines trying to work at once to create an absolute final product. And then that's it. It moves on to the next thing. Now, as soon as you throw a monkey wrench into that assembly line, you already know you're screwed. So, that's basically what happened. That's what's basically happening with me, and I'm trying to refocus from that, to recalibrate from finding the monkey wrench and getting it out of the mess. And as you can see, it's still having a bit of an effect on me. It probably also doesn't help that that my mind also brings in multiple references to try and figure out how to be able to get past it. And it makes it worse because sometimes those references are from worse cases than what I've already gone through. We blow things out of proportion, in case if that part wasn't clear. We blow things out of proportion. So I was already thinking of other things in my life that have overwhelmed me and have gotten me to this point in which I look like this this red, sobbing, snotty mess. It's not great when that happens, when I just simply pull old references like that. Because it means that I keep on perpetuating this cycle of feeling like crap. But it's what I do to try and find a conclusion. It's my brain going on autopilot to try and just come to a conclusion because it doesn't know what else to do. If there's anybody else out there who relates to how the brain just does that, please, please, please comment, or at least like give an emoji or something, or get, I don't know, just something to say like, I totally get it. It's a mess. It's a wreck.
And this is, of course, not at all to take it out on anyone. This is not. This is me trying to explain, while all of this is still fresh in my head, how it is that I'm trying to deal with things as a woman, as a young adult, as someone in customer service, specifically at a hotel, as an autistic individual, just to be able to express all of that. And especially as an autistic individual, because I want to be able to celebrate something that is hugely important to me this month. And that is the fact that I have this one and only brain that has this amazing potential to see a world in a way that can, in my opinion, revitalize something that really needs fixing. But because of a whole bunch of this crap that's happening, it's having a hard time getting there. It's a long process to get there. So, there's I'm losing train of thought. I am grateful above all else that I do have people who support me, family and friends, and especially my coworkers. I am so glad that my manager was able to smooth things out with the guest. I am grateful for that, because I don't think I would have been in any state of mind to be able to fix that. And one of my other managers had actually offered to get me some food later today, which part of me is actually considering that, though. Quite honestly, I don't even know what it is that I would want to eat, because of this whole mess. I've been so overwhelmed that I can't really focus on what it is that I really want to have for dinner. I know there's at least 100 people out there who could relate to that. Being overwhelmed sucks. I don't think there's any other way of putting it. No, there is. I'm just going to be straightforward with it. That's why I'm doing this. Being as straightforward as I can be, without dropping any colorful languages, so that way this doesn't get red flagged. Believe me, I could give a rated R version of this. I could if I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm not going to do that, because I want to make sure as many people as possible are able to see this. So, I am going to make sure that that I take some time that I do have today to take care of myself. Whether that be through self-medicating by going through an entire bag of M&Ms. Do not be do not be deceived. This has just simply been relocated into a mason jar, which I will probably go through by the end of tonight. And probably through many, many, many amusing cat videos. I've got my own pick of the lot. I've got Claire Love Cat, a Korean group. I also have 3 Southern Cats and Mama, who I've been enjoying, especially, oh, Willow, dear Willow. You and I could agree on so many things. And probably a few other sources. And then
And then I will try and get a good night's sleep so that way tomorrow I start fresh. I go to Mass like I normally do and sing in a choir, be able to sing music that is familiar to me, music that puts me at ease, makes me feel more like myself again. And I don't mean classic old church hymns that you hear in a lot of older, well-established Catholic churches. I mean a Catholic church that plays Chris Tomlin and Matt Mahar, some of my favorite artists, is to be sure in there. There's a lot that I plan on doing this month. So hopefully, I don't have this kind of stress again coming up. Although I can't really guarantee it. I am hoping that I won't become this overwhelmed again at work, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to be able to do. I have a school that I'm talking to about being autistic. Something I'm hugely looking forward to. I've got Easter Mass to sing at. I've got puzzle projects, which I am so overdue on doing, so that way I can share even more content. Which, by the way, you need to give me questions. Give me questions that you have, that you cannot go to the internet to just find an answer for, because nobody's giving you an answer for it. And I've got writing. It's Camping NaNoWriMo this month. I have writing. I have a project that I really need to finish. As you can see, I've got a lot to do. And I want to be able to do it all. That makes me an overachiever, doesn't it? Yeah. Nonetheless, if you are someone who is autistic like me, an average autistic like me, and you want to reach out to me, talk with me, I'm all ears. And I hope that anybody who does see this, leave a comment, a like. I would also really appreciate it if you can also just share this with other people that you think could really use to see this or listen to what it is that I have to say. So, as always, pass the popcorn, please and thank you.